But Brandon, we are going to move on into our next team, and that is my Illinois Fighting Illini. They're not mine personally, but I do have that orange and blue blood in me, Brandon. It is pumping through my veins for this segment. We finally get to talk about my team. We already got to talk about yours in Alabama because they were a lot better than the teams in my conference. That's why they were one of the first divisions and conferences that we did. But we get to talk about Illinois, and I think that there's a lot of things I want to cover. Quarterback situation. I want to talk about Mike Dudek because I'm excited about Mike Dudek again, but is he going to be on the field this year? I want to start with Lovie Smith, though. I think that's I don't want to say elephant in the room, but I kind of want to say elephant in the room because this is how I am feeling from the Illinois fan standpoint. You guys are going to get a kind of different perspective as Brandon's going to be an outsider. I am going to be the inside. Well,
Ricky's an insider. He's
basically
at each practice every day.
No, not like that, but like from the fan side of it, what are you going to feel? I kind of want to give Lovie a wash for last season. I want to just say it was your first year. Just clean up the mess from the Tim Beckman era / Bill Cubit experiment. And now this is the season where I want to see what you could do with a recruiting class under your belt that is your own, that you went out and brought in the guys. I kind of want to say last year is a wash, and now this is the first year that we can use to sort of begin the grading of Lovie Smith as we go up to that third, fourth year where that's where the real grading and assessment come when it's actually your classes that are now old enough to be out there.
So, Ricky, my questions are here for you.
Okay.
Number one is, why did Illinois take such a step backwards last year? That's number one, because even under Tim Beckman, they had won, like you mentioned, their first 6 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Lovie Smith didn't even get to 6 wins last year. He was 3-9. He was 2-7 overall. So my first question is, why such the step backwards? And then my second question is, can Lovie and is Lovie the guy to rebuild this Illini team and get them back to form?
I'm going to answer your second question first. And when it comes to if anyone is sitting there after one season saying, is Lovie Smith the guy to bring Illinois back, don't jump ship yet just after one 3-9 season. And the reason why I say that is Lovie Smith, to me, will bring as we see him come through, he's going to play an importance in recruiting because kids know, hey, this is someone who was an NFL coach. This is a guy that knows what it takes to get me to the pros. Also, it's that kind of, hey, this guy was an NFL coach. I can go play for Lovie Smith. Plus, he knows what he's doing. It's not like he's a guy that doesn't know how to coach the game of football. And really, you got to think the only reason he was fired from his NFL jobs were the Bears. The fans were fed up, and he got fired on a 10-6 season. And then in Tampa, he got fired only because Jameis Winston was coming in, and that ownership wanted Jameis Winston to work with now the head coach in Cotter at Tampa Bay. So I come in and I say, do not jump ship in the whole, is he the right coach for the job kind of a feel. And the thing I look at for the other part is, why were we only a 3-9 season last year? I look at the teams that we played. You look at our wins. Michigan State was not a good team last year. We beat them. Rutgers, we can say we beat Rutgers. If we lost that game, I'd be jumping ship. Yeah, we lost to Purdue. That was a game that we probably should have had, especially with the way that one went down. Like I mentioned in the Purdue segment, we were up 21-16 going into half, and then only scored twice more in the second half. You can't do that if you want to win a football game. But I look at the other teams that we play. We beat Murray State as well. That should have been a win. You look at the other teams that we lost against. North Carolina had the second overall pick on their roster in Mitch Trubisky. They put up 48 points against us. Western Michigan, they proved by the end of that season to be a way better team, and they had a top 5 pick on that offense as well. Nebraska, they are always a team that has given us problems in the Big Ten. I don't want that to seem like, well, Ricky, that's an excuse. I'm saying they were the number 15 team for a reason. Going into Lincoln has never been easy for us. We lost. Michigan, top 5 team. I didn't think we were going to win that game anyways. Wisconsin, you knew we were going to lose. Iowa, I felt like that game was a loss from the start as well. The only 2 games that we really lost that I'm like, or 3 games that we lost that I'm like, those were teams that I might have thought we would beat, are Purdue, which in reality we should have beat, Minnesota, and then Northwestern. And the Northwestern thing was basically based off of 2 things. 1, my hatred for Northwestern because I'm an Illinois fan, and 2, because of what Northwestern was just a year ago. I was like, you know what? Maybe they are on the turn. However, they had a much better season last year, and they go ahead and beat us in their home state or their home stadium. I think the schedule played a little bit into it. We played solid opponents, and also I think a little bit played into it of how rough the Tim Beckman era ended. Like, we were talking on this podcast about things and the whole kind of, is Tim Beckman abusing his players? Is he kind of hiding this, hiding that? I look at the 2015 season, the one that Bill Cubit had. Mid-Tennessee was a win. We didn't have a non-conference game like that this year. Western Illinois was a win. We didn't have an FCS team on the schedule this year because the Big Ten won't allow it. We didn't have a Kent State. However, you could say the Kent State and the Murray State were kind of the same because we won that first one. And then in that Bill Cubit, the only thing that switched out was, we beat Nebraska and we beat Purdue, but we couldn't beat Penn State. We didn't beat Ohio State. We still didn't beat Northwestern or Minnesota in those seasons. So it's like, okay, he beat 2 Big Ten teams that Lovey couldn't beat. But the schedule to me overall seemed a lot harder last year than it was in 2015.
So it was a difficult schedule. I'll give you that. They weren't Lovey's guys.
No, they weren't.
And I'll give you that. But the rest of it is all excuses, what you just said. North Carolina, this is the points they gave up. 48, 34, 31, 34, 41, 40, 48, 28, and 42. That's a ton of points for a defense that seemed to be pretty loaded up front. For a defense that was okay, not great, and that's how they were. And Lovey is supposed to be a defensive mind. What was the problem?
Like I said, and this is me at the beginning, you could take this as an excuse, you could take it how it may. Like I said, last season, I want to kind of use it as a wash. And the only reason being is Lovey Smith, whether it was Lovey, whether it was you, whether it was me, no one was going to walk into this Illinois situation and boom, rattle off a bowl game like that, or rattle off a winning season or a successful season like the snap of the finger.
But I don't think people expected that they would go so far backwards.
No, I think that's
the problem.
A little bit of it were the expectations might have been set a little bit too high because it was a name like Lovey Smith. And that's why I'm saying this season is going to be my true barometer, because I'm looking at it this way. And another thing is, we're going to talk about him. Mike Dudek, to me, is a huge point.
He's a difference maker.
He's a huge point because for the past 2 seasons, I've been looking at this Illinois team going, I am so excited to have a weapon on the outside for my quarterback to throw to. I want to say it was 2 years ago. I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago, where I'm like, I can't wait to see Mike Dudek on this side, Geronimo Allison on this side, who I want to say he's with the Green Bay Packers now, either the Packers or the Colts. He's in the NFL now doing a thing. Gmo on this side, Dudek on that side. Pick your poison. We're going deep on you, and Wes Lunt will get it there. Well, that never happened because every single year that Dudek has been here, it was injury. Another injury.
Except for his freshman year.
Injury. Yeah. It's sophomore and then the junior, the redshirt year, it was basically injury. And I'm sitting there just going, oh my God, is this guy ever going to see the field? And it's a fear that I have coming into this season of, A, will I see Mike Dudek on the field? And 2, will he be able to be what was potentially to me after that freshman year? I'm like, man, I can't wait to see him get better sophomore year. And then injury. Is he ever going to get back to the guy that Illinois fans thought he would be coming out of Neuqua Valley way long ago at this point? 4 years ago, I think? 4 years ago, coming out of high school?
Well, Dudek back in 14, obviously, that was the only season he's played. He was good.
Very
he
good.
Had
for a freshman?
He had 76 catches, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was very, very good. That's a solid season. If he's able to give anywhere near that again this year, it's going to be good. And one thing that we haven't touched on yet is the quarterback situation, and that's one of the things I know you wanted to touch on.
Well, it's a big thing.
It's one of the things right now for Illinois that's kind of a question mark. It's kind of a question mark for Illinois because they've got 2 guys right now that are on the roster that I don't think are going to end up, if everything works out the right way, I don't think that they're going to end up being the guys that are actually starting. Chase Crouch and Jeff George Jr. are the 2 guys there right now. However, they've got another one, and that is Dwayne Lawson. And Dwayne Lawson is going to have to be the guy, and he is going to be the guy who I think will take this Illinois team to the next level. But for right now, it's something where I'm not sure if his academic side is completely cleared yet, if he's eligible, if he's ready to play, all that stuff. But if that gets lined up, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Illinois Fighting Illini. But until then, it's going to be either of these other 2. And they're formidable. They're fine. But they're not going to be the guys that take Illinois to the next level.
Well, and it's kind of a shame. I make this joke. It's kind of a shame that we're talking about Illinois at this point, because if it was any other big-time school, I'm going to throw, this is a basketball reference, but I'll throw the Tar Heels under the bus. You know, if it was Tar Heel basketball, we wouldn't have to worry about his academics. He would just be on the roster.
No, somebody else would be doing it for him.
But because we are talking about A, Illinois, and B, the Big Ten, Illinois and the Big Ten they care about grades, and they really hammer the student athletes for their grades out there. When it comes to quarterback, I'm not excited. Like, if Crouch or George Jr. are the guys, I'm not excited for this season at that point. Like, the thing that I kind of feel like, and this is why I think that the coaches are maybe leaning towards Lawson, is Crouch and George Jr. were not Lovey guys. They were not, especially Crouch was not a Lovey guy, as he is a junior. And I think that bringing a guy in that, yes, this is my guy, this is who I recruited, can be a good thing. And that's why I'm kind of hoping that he gets his athletics, because another wide receiver that I haven't mentioned that I'm going to mention, and I'm hoping that he can be on the field, because I know that in high school it was also is his grades going to be good enough to be on the team? But a guy from the Chicagoland area in Ricky Smalling coming in as a freshman, going to be a huge weapon if he can contribute as a freshman. I look at, we've got Malik Turner, who is a good receiver. If Mike Dudek can stay on the field, he can be our number 1. Ricky Smalling can develop. That's boom, 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 1, 2, 3 at the wide receiver position. We need someone to be able to throw to them. And from what I've seen with Crouch and from what I saw with George Jr. last season, I am not confident in either of those guys being the guys moving forward. And the thing that I hate, and this has nothing to do with Lovey, has nothing to do with this team, is I remember back to the excitement that I had when Wes Lunt transferred from Oklahoma State to Illinois, because I think he was also choosing between us and Louisville that year. Louisville was one of the other teams. I was so excited when we got him. We have a quarterback, and we could do nothing with him. Nothing. Whether it was Tim Beckman's team, whether it was the Bill Cubitt year, we could do nothing with him. I know we went to that one bowl game, and that kind of seemed like the only season, but I felt like that his time here could have been a lot better than it was, and I don't want to see us throw out another quarterback where it's like, really? We couldn't get anyone better than We couldn't get anyone better than this guy when we have the weapons around him. Like Kendrick Foster, I'm solid on him at the running back position right now. Is he going to be as good as the running backs I've seen in the past? I don't know. Time will tell. But I'm excited about him. Turner and Dudek. Smalling coming in from high school. The offensive line, I feel, has gotten better. We have guys on there that are kind of maturing into a more mature role with Nick Algretti and Delorio. And then we got Gabe Meganson also on that line and Dartha Lee. I feel like there are the makings there to have something work. However, all of this falls apart if you don't throw the right quarterback or a productive quarterback into that offense.
So the question of whether either of these guys you can lean on them, I would say, how would you even know if you can lean on them? They barely have any time there. I mean, honestly, Chase Crouch,
he was blocked by Wes Lunt the entire time.
He's had less than in a season has had less than 250 yards passing. And then Jeff George Jr. last year had over 400 some yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You have not gotten a good taste of what either of these guys would be able to do for you. So no one can say with any certainty that either of these guys is going to be real good or next level type guys. And that's why Lawson, it's going to be so important for him to get out there on the field. It's going to be so important for everything academically, everything eligibility-wise to be clear by the time the season starts, because Illinois, if they want to be able to put together a successful season this year, they're going to need to have him out there on the field. They're going to need to have a very, very healthy Mike Dudek all season long. They're going to need to have a solid Kendrick Foster like they had last year, almost averaging 6 yards per carry, which is outstanding, over 700 yards on the season, and 7 touchdown scores. You'd love him to be at 1,000 yards. With an offensive line, what? You laugh.
I find it. I'd love to have him at 1,000 yards. That'd be kind of like the dream scenario.
You would. You would want your running back.
Have him at 1,000 yards, but also having Dudek at 1,000 yards.
Have him at 1,000 yards. Have Dudek at 1,000 yards. Have your quarterback throw for 2,500 or more. Yes, I'm talking dream season here, but that's what Illinois needs. Some consistency. Some guys who are putting up some consistent numbers offensively. That's what they're going to need. They're going to have a defense that's going to be They're going to have a secondary that's going to need to be able to pick up for the losses that they had on the front part of the defense. Up front, some losses, some key tacklers gone. The secondary is going to have to be able to pick that up. And again, as I mentioned for Purdue, a winning season this year for the Illinois Fighting Illini is going to be 5-7.
Yeah, looking at the schedule, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth as I see 4 or 5 wins this season for Illinois. All 3 non-conference games, I think we can win. Ball State, Western Kentucky without Brom, and then I know that Charlie Strong is at South Florida, but I still think we can go on the road and beat them on a Friday night. And then in conference, I got Rutgers and maybe Purdue. That's why I say 4 or 5. Rutgers for sure, there's your 4. Maybe Purdue, there's your 5. But other than that, I don't see many wins. I would love to say we'll go out there and beat Northwestern. I don't see it, though. I would love to say we'll go out there and beat Minnesota. I don't see it, though. However, if Lawson can come in, be the guy, and shock the world, per se, I know I'm using a Big Ten reference there from the Fab Five at Michigan, but if we can come out and shock the world, I'd be happy with it. However, I look at the schedule and I say, yes, it is easier than last year's, but I would like to see more than 3 wins on the season, and I would especially like to see more than 1 win. I would love to see at least 2 wins, Rutgers and Purdue, on the season from the Big Ten. However, I look at it and I go, would that still be kind of a failure, although we would be closer to a bowl game? And the one thing I do want to mention, this is kind of like a Tony Reale kind of like thing we might have missed in this segment, is one of the big things that was lacking from Lovie Smith to or from the Cubitt to Lovie Smith era was that the big leader of our defense in 2015, which was Mason Monheim, he was no longer there. So he was a senior in 2015. That was Bill Cubitt's last year. He was our big leader on that defense. Lovie Smith didn't have him. And I know that you might be saying, well, Ricky, that is just another excuse. But when you don't have that guy who was the senior leader and really a junior leader before that in 2013 and really was our guy and was our main guy, it's hard to have that for a new coach coming in. So that was my little Tony Rally thing we might have missed. But I want to flip the conversation.
I want to really quickly.
Go ahead.
Before, Ricky, is it Illinois or Illinois?
Either or. I'm fine with either or. I'm not a stickler about Illinois or Illinois.
Because you're a big fan of the Illinois.
Yeah, I flip back. Sometimes I say Illinois. Sometimes I say Illinois. I mean, I'm not a stickler for it. I know there are people out there that are. But let us know down below in the comment section. What do you guys think? What are you expecting from Illinois this season? The Fighting Illini. What are you expecting from them? ILL out there. And also, do you think this is going to be a big good season? Is this going to be a bad season? What do you expect from the Illini this season? Let us know down below in the comment section.